Good day, everyone. I hope you are all safe amidst our crisis that we are facing. So, for this time, we will be discussing intersubjectivity. So, supposedly, this is our lesson last week, but because of the weather disturbance, we postponed it. So, this time, we have to face it. So, at the end of this learning kit or at the end of this video, you will be able to realize that intersubjectivity requires accepting differences and not imposing on others. So, meaning to say, um, because of intersubjectivity, we will be open to the opinions of others, and we will be avoiding biases in our opinion as well. And before I proceed on our formal discussion, let us first have the definition of intersubjectivity. By this activity, so please complete this activity. So you can write your answer at the back page of your module. Please complete this statement. I am unique because others like me because, and the last is others misinterpreted that I am. So you have to complete it and write your answer at the back page of your module. Let's first discuss the definition of intersubjectivity. Intersubjectivity is involving or occurring between separate conscious minds. So meaning to say, all of us has his or her opinion. You have your own opinion, and I have my own opinion and beliefs as well. So how can we accept the differences among us? So we have to acknowledge the diversity. The term diversity refers to the various and differences between each other. So, for us to avoid conflict, we have to use this intersubjectivity or understanding between others' opinion, between you and others' opinion. Martin Buber, he was a Jewish existentialist philosopher. So I have highlighted existentialist. So how do I say so, and how is it related to intersubjectivity? So existentialist believes that existence precedes essence. So here in existentialism, they believe or they value more the interest of an individual or the preference of an individual. In his work, I and Thou, or in other term, each and do, in 1923, he conceived the human person in his wholeness, totality, concrete existence, and relatedness to the world. So let's focus on I and thou, or each and do. So here in this idea, we as a person, for example, me, I am I here. And the "thou" there is pertaining to you or the other individual. So we have me and you, or the relatedness of I and you to each other. So here we viewed this idea person to person relationship or mutual agreement in other terms. I and do philosophy is all about the human person, being different from things or from objects. According to him, the human person as subjects have direct and mutual sharing of selves. So, just like what I am explaining a while ago, I and though philosophy pertains to I as a person and you as a person, and we are sharing different ideas and beliefs. So that's why we have what we call mutual sharing of selves or mutual agreement among each other. This implies that for a person to truly understand himself and the world, he must reach out to others and understand them. So it's clearly written here that if we wanted to know our real self or the nature of ourself, we must also reach others, or we must also acknowledge others. So here in I and though, it also comes to the belief that no man is an island. In contrast, there is also another concept, which is I and it relationship. It is a person to thing. Subject to object that is merely experiencing and using, lacking directedness and mutuality. So, unlike what we have a while ago, I and thou relationship, here in I and it relationship, for example, I am the subject and you is only pertained or is only being pertained to a thing. For example, I only view or see you as an object, an object that I can use or an object that I can take into consideration or take for granted. So, which is better? Let me ask you. Is it I and thou or I and it relationship? Of course, it is always be better to have I and thou relationship than I and it relationship. In a term or in a ways that if we will use I and it relationship, we will only view person without feelings. So we have here a clear example of I and it relationship. Children are sexually exploited by foreign tourists with the full knowledge of their parents in exchange for cash. So even though the parents um some of the parents really care for their child or for their children, still some of the parents are using their child for their own welfare. So here in this example, child exploitation, even though the parents know the consequences or the effect of child exploitation to their child or to their children, still they are allowing it to happen in exchange of money. It is a clear sign of I and it relationship. Again, the person sees another person as only an object. Pope John Paul II, or infamously known Carol Wojtyla, addressed the challenges facing religion, utilizing mass media to transform spiritual consciousness. So nowadays, because of the technology, it is easy for religions to propagate or to spread its news or to spread the word of God. But also, there are also negative consequences of technology in terms of religion. So, for example, it is easy for terrorists to plan their hidden agenda, and it is easy for some people to degrade other people and to use other people, just like our example a while ago, child exploitation, and it is incorporated in child pornography. So, Pope John Paul II, or Karol Wojtyla, was elected to papacy on October 16, 1978, and he was the 246th Pope and was considered greatest Pope during his lifetime. In his encyclical letter Fides et Ratio, he criticized the traditional definition of human as rational animal. He maintains that a human person is the one who exists and act. So, meaning to say, to make it simple, Pope John Paul II viewed person as not an object, but rather an individual who has feeling. So, according to him also, it is not applicable to say that human being are the highest form of animal because we are really separate among the animal because we have the capacity to think and also we have the soul. For Wotayla, action reveals the nature of the human agent. Participation explains the essence of the human person. So, how can we assess or how can we identify our essence through participation to the other group? So, there are certain groups in your school or there are certain groups outside the school or in your community that will focus on highlighting your skills and highlighting your um uniqueness as a person. So for example, you are into music, so you will go to music club for your talent in music to be enhanced. And same thing to the other talents. So here, according to him, if we wanted to know our worth as a person, we have to seek others as well. We participate in the communal life, or what we called we. Our notion of the neighbor and fellow member is by participating in the humanness of the other person, I and you. Again, let's go back to I and thou relationship. There, in that relationship, we are pertaining to the mutual agreement. So, mutual agreement is also under communal life, or life inside a certain group. So, from the previous discussion, we able to discuss the value of sakop. And because of sakop, we learn or we able to get idea and values from a higher authority within our group, or from the co-members of our group. So, for example, Filipinos want to be in harmony or sakop with others and nature. So, here in the Philippines, we are sakop, or we are incorporated or inside the government, and we elected, or we have the powers to elect leaders, and because of that, we will follow the command of our leaders because we elected them and we believe in their capabilities. Loob has been inseparable from religious concern. The basis of Christian values of gratitude and sensitivity to the needs of the others is traced in loob. Moreover, to have loob is pagpapakatao, that is equivalent to pagmaka-Kristo or Christ life. Of course, it's still incorporated to the we, or the communal life, the loob, or the idea of loob, or what we called sharing of ourselves, or sharing of our values and virtues within our friends, within our group. So it is very important to stay humane amidst crisis, just like what we are experiencing currently. And here in the Philippines, it is evident that we have this so-called bayanihan spirit among us, which make us different among other nations. In Hinduism, the Vedanist observes the three stages to commune with God, or to live with God, or to acknowledge God. So the first stage is faith, or the spirit. The second is reason, or intellect. And the last is experience, or the physical body. So let's discuss the first stage, wherein the seeker simply accepts the law of nature as expression of divine existence. Reason, which is the second path, is where the seeker attempts to understand this law by rational and logical process through God. So let's have first faith. So even though we cannot see God, still we believe in God because we have faith on Him. We acknowledge that there is one God which is the most powerful above all living creatures, and we are being governed by God. So, because of faith, we have this so-called reason, or in other term, it is included in conscience. So, if you have faith, you will have conscience, or you will have the capacity to think what you need to do. And of course, it will go along with our last one, which is the experience, or the physical body, which will dictate our action, or which will produce an action. Utang na loob means shifting of obligation to other person upon repayment. The universal principle of reciprocity reinforces family solidarity, which is an appendage of SIR, smooth interpersonal relationship. So, many words here, but let's focus first on utang na loob. Because of utang na loob, we are being bind to help other person, because that person might help us from the past, or might help us in the future. So for example, someone help you in times of this crisis, so in that case you will have an utang na loob to that person on, and on the other time that he needs, or he will need you, of course you will be bound by this utang na loob, so that you will help that person. So because of that, because of this so-called utang na loob, we have a smooth interpersonal relationship or mutual agreement. Again, it will fall under I and thou relationship because you will see as a person who has a soul or and a person who has a heart and a function as well. So clearly, we should not focus on I and it relationship, but rather let's highlight the idea that we are living in a communal life and we should know how to respect and how to gain respect as well. That's all for our today's discussion or for this week discussion. I hope you're all safe and please continue your faith in God. God bless everyone.